On this episode of the World of CONCACAF, we dive in to Belize. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of CONCACAF podcast. I'm Eric Schmitz.
I'm Jonathan Sleep.
And I'm Donald Wine.
And it's good to see both of you right now. It's been a minute since we've dove into one of our CONCACAF brethren. I'm very excited to, talk about Belize. Have either of you been to Belize?
I have
not.
Oh, we do. We got one visitor. Okay. So Jonathan and I have not been there. Donald, you want to give us a couple hints of what we might be talking about?
Well, I will save a wonderful story about the barrier reef for when we get to the culture part of things.
Okay. Cool. So we got some exciting stuff coming.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into it, I want to shout out our patrons. If you didn't know, we've got a Patreon, patreon.com/podcacaf, PODCAF. You can go there and support our podcast. You can subscribe. You can find links to our merch, our beautiful merch. Stimulus put together a beautiful store for us. You can also listen to our one more round bonus episodes, which are fan favorites. And yeah, maybe throw us a couple bucks. That way we can keep doing this kind of thing. But it has been a minute since we've done a laser focus. So we got to finish knocking these out. So tonight we're going to talk about Belize. And I get to lead us off with a little bit of background on the nation of Belize. Belize, if you didn't know where it is, it's a country on the northeastern coast of Central America. It's bordering the Caribbean Sea to the east, Mexico to the northwest, and Guatemala to the west and south. We'll get to more on that. The history of Belize begins with the ancient Maya civilization, which include the major city of the period, Caracol. It's a lot of ruins there. Donald, I don't know if you would check that out, but Caracol's one of the big communities in that civilization. By the 16th century, Spanish explorers claimed the region, but had failed to establish strong control over it. And by the 17th century, British settlers began logging timber, kind of like establishing a foothold along the coast. Eventually, conflict between the Spanish and British settlers culminated in the Battle of St. George's Caye in 1798, which British dominance came from. They won that battle, and in Belize, September 10th is celebrated as St. George's Caye Day. The territory became a colony of British Honduras in 1862 under the United Kingdom. In the 20th century, after the economy had stagnated, after the Great Depression, World War, independence movements grew, and Belize gained independence in 1981, became its own country. Is led by figures like George Cato Price, who became the first prime minister. Now, when Belize gained independence, Guatemala refused to recognize the new nation because of a territorial dispute. This goes back to an 1859 treaty with the British that had included an article about building a road that would benefit both parties, but it never got built. So without that promised road, Guatemala claimed the treaty was void. So Guatemala has historically claimed over half of what is considered Belize. Guatemala believes that Belize belonged to them, and after independence, British troops had to remain there to protect the territory until 1994. So, which is pretty recently. And if you go to Google right now, it will show the border with Guatemala as a dotted line because of the dispute. In 2008, Guatemala and Belize made a pact to have a simultaneous referendums for the voters to send the issue to the International Court of Justice. And in June 2023, both countries submitted their final written arguments to the International Court of Justice with oral arguments back in November of 2025. Now, still waiting for that to get settled, but there's also a dispute between Belize and Honduras before the court over the Zapadilla Cays, which is an atoll off the coast in the Gulf of Honduras. Guatemala is now getting involved in that one too, saying, "Hey, we own this, so maybe we should own that too." But yeah, little neighborly interaction between Guatemala and Belize. But I haven't been there. Donald, you've been there. Tell us a little bit more about Belize and their culture.
So the first thing you have to realize is that Belize, unlike everyone else in Central America, is English. They speak English. They're the only Central American country where English is their native language, or I'm sorry, their national language, and that's mainly due to the British imperialism that has been about. So when you travel there, a lot of Americans travel there easily because of the fact that they speak English. There's also a Belizean Creole. Spanish is also spoken, some indigenous languages, but the dominant language is English. About 400,000 people live in Belize. About 53,000 live in their largest city and capital, Belize City. And on the island, the most pop, or I'm sorry, in the country, the most popular sports are football and basketball. Now, I'm going to tell you a story in just a second, but there is the Great Barrier Reef, which everyone knows is in off the coast of Australia, is the biggest barrier reef in the world. The second largest is off the coast of Belize. I have been there. I will tell you the story about why that's important in a minute. The importance, the one thing is, a lot of people in hip hop culture know about Belize because there was one famous rapper turned politician named Shine. He had a very big hit. He was with Bad Boy. You guys have probably heard Bad Boys with Barrington Levy. He got deported because he went to jail for taking the rap for Sean Diddy Combs having a gun in a club with J Lo way back in the day, right? He served a period of time, served like 10 years in jail. He left and got deported because he was born in Belize and became the Senate minority leader for a long time and is still active in Belizean politics to this day. The most popular question that we get on this show in Laser Focus is, what about the alcohol? Well, you got the main rum, which is one barrel. Pretty decent. Not like top of the line, not bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
No pun intended. And national beer is Bellican. And that is the prevalent beer around the island. It's obviously an English ale, English-like ale. So with that, let me tell you a story about when I went to Belize. I went with a friend and his family on a cruise.
This?
This was 2016, I want to say, okay. 2016, 2017, maybe 2015, mid 2010s. Okay. And so I went because he was going through a divorce and they had already paid for like a couple's trip with his parents and his brother and his brother's wife. And he was like, you could be my plus one. All you got to do is get to New Orleans and you can jump on all the stuff. He said, the only catch is you got to pay tips. And I was like, that's fine. I could do that. And he's like, you got to pay for, you got to do the excursion. You don't have to pay for them, but you have to at least attempt them. I was like, okay, what are the excursions? One of the excursions was doing some snorkeling on the Barrier Reef off of Belize. And I go, hey guys, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not a great swimmer at all. I don't go forward. I go down. And they're like, will you at least try it? Because I'm sure they have like life vests. I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. I'm in. Like, you said, give it the old college try. I'll give it the old college try. So we get on the boat, and I asked for a life preserver because I was like, yo, I'm not a strong swimmer, and the first thing they tell you is don't touch the reef. It is sharp, and it is also bad for the reef. And this guy gives me a wet noodle, like the wet noodles you would see in a pool, right? Like that you just kind of sit on when you're just lounging around. He gave me that. Most of y'all know me. I'm not small. I was like, this wet noodle's not going to make it, bruh. And he's like, I promise you, that's going to keep you above. I was like, nope, this is the ocean. Like, this is the Gulf of Mexico. This is not going to work. I need a life preserver. He's like, no, I promise you, the wet noodle is going to work. And I was like, fine. Can you give me two? He's like, you don't need two. You need one. One's fine. Cool. I jump in with this wet noodle straight to the bottom. I mean, just a straight dive. I hit the coral, very, very sharp. Didn't cut myself, but I see a bunch of fish scatter. So I pop up what I thought was just popping straight up because I just kind of did, crawled my way to the surface. I was 200 yards away from the boat. That's how strong the current was. I was to the point, my friends were in the expert group because they snorkel all the time. They do diving and stuff. They're very good swimmers. I had somehow underwater gone past them and popped up 200 yards away from the boat against the current. So I'm starting to try and swim back with this stupid wet noodle back to the boat. I passed them and they're going out. I'm trying to go in. And they're like, Donald, what are you doing? How'd you get out here? I was like, I'll tell you when I get back in the boat. I'm already upset. So I get back to the boat finally after like 10 minutes of what feels like 10 minutes of swimming. I get back to the boat. I'm dead tired. And the guy's like, "How was it out there?" And I was like, "Bruh, this wet noodle here did not work." I like slam on the ground. He goes, "Oh, you could have gotten a life preserver." And I was just like, I just stood it and just stared at it in silence. And I was like, "I told you I wanted the white life preserver. You said the wet noodle will work." I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that, man. But you want a life preserver? You can go back out there with the life preserver." I was like, "Nah, man, I want a beer." So I went and got a Billiken and I sat there. And I think they had rum too. So I just like downed a shot and did that and just waited for my friends to get back. Told them the story. We're all laughing about it on the way back. But that is my story of going to the second largest berry reef in the world.
You get up close and personal with it.
Yes.
I
Don't do
do
what I
think.
do.
Well, I do think it's interesting because Central America, a lot of Spanish rule kind of influenced a lot of the countries. Belize is the one where it's like, yeah, English is the main language there, because England kind of ran it until 1981. What were you
And
saying?
it's weird, right? Because they also have that mix that every other like Caribbean country does. They have the West Indian culture. Really, they have East Indian culture, which is even more prevalent in like places like Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada. They have what are called mestizos, which is a mix of Spanish and Native Americans. They have, the mulatto kind of Creole type of people. So it's a weird mix of people. It's very diverse. But again, the overarching language is English. So people can speak their normal dialects and stuff like that. Some people even speak Spanish, but in the end, everybody in the country speaks English because of the British rule that dominated for so long.
Yeah. Now let's get to the important stuff. We're here to talk about the soccer. So Jonathan, obviously soccer's big here. Tell us a little bit about how the structure of the game is in Belize.
Yeah, so I think we're going to continue the trend of weird, interesting stories for about Belize as we move through this. But so governing body is called the Football Federation of Belize, or the FFB, founded in 1980, and that's just 1 year before Belize gained independence from the UK. But they're a full FIFA CONCACAF member, and the FFB been around since 1980. And there's been some turbulence there, and most recently, June 2021. So in June of 2021, FIFA actually suspended the federation due to government interference. And let's talk about how it went down. So Belize beat Montserrat 5-2 away in the opening match of the 2014 World Cup qualifying. Coming home, riding high. The government sports minister communicated directly to FIFA against the will of the FFB. And so, as such, the National Sports Council withdrew recognition of the federation, and FIFA moved quickly, suspending Belize just 2 days after the win. So they were suspended as a national team, and the government took the team to court. But the other aspect of this is Montserrat was already sitting in Belize in the hotel waiting for the game that never happened. The suspension lifted about 3 weeks later after the government reversed course. But at that point, it derailed qualifying. And they'd started with a promising road victory. That resulted in a lot of changes within the FFB. And most importantly, it forced a reset of the entire domestic league structure. So the top flight of today is the Premier League of Belize, founded in December 2011, and is born directly out of the chaos of that fallout. They have the Apertura and Clausura seasons, which is really common. We see across this, and it's been dominated by a handful of clubs. But one thing back from the history of that, there is Coque Milpros. They were the first ever Belizean club to ever win a match in CONCACAF competition. So it was in 1989. They beat Nicaragua's historic Daranigan FC 4-1 on aggregate. They lost in the next round, but they were the first team to win on the CONCACAF stage. Right now, Belize plays in the FFB Stadium in Belmopan. It received a big upgrade in 2014 from an $2 million donation from FIFA. But that is just kind of a high-level overview of the history of soccer in the country.
Yeah, the trend of like weird, interesting stuff is continuing. Because let's get into the Belize women's national team. Belize, their program, it's still let's say on their way up. Debuting in November of 2001, they are currently ranked as of the December 2025 rankings. They are ranked 173rd in the world in the FIFA rankings. Their first international back in November of 2001. That was a 12-0 loss to Guatemala, your border rivals. Not a great start. They are, one of the many programs in CONCACAF that they don't necessarily have a lot of support. They've got mostly domestic players now, but you'll have your occasional U.S. college player participating. The interesting athlete from the women's national team I want to shout out is a young woman by the name of Kalida Velasquez, who actually holds a record in the world. Back in 2018, in the CONCACAF Girls Championship, Kalidia became the youngest player to ever score in an official FIFA-sanctioned international tournament. At the age of 11 years old, she scored a goal in a 4-0 win over the U.S. Virgin Islands. Actually,
I just feel like someone that young shouldn't even be allowed to play.
I'm sorry, this says Virgin Islands, it didn't specify U.S. Let me clarify that. But at 11 years old, Kalidia, and that was 2018, so she is still not even 20 years old, and has a goal in an international competition.
Before we continue, I just want to mentally make sure that I clarify, because I don't know if I said this correctly. When I mentioned that Belize was the largest city, it's not the capital of Belize. Belize City is the largest city. Belmopan is the capital. So I just want to make sure that was distinct, because in my mind, I don't know if I said that the way I wanted to.
All good. Thank you for clarifying. And speaking of Belmopan, that's, as Jonathan mentioned, home of the men's and the women's national teams. So we talked about the women. Let's talk about the men. Jonathan, tell me about the Jaguars.
So I gave a one little bit about the men's national team history, but let's kind of take a step back. But yeah, as Eric said, the Jaguars is the nickname for the men's and women's national team.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I think the Belize Jaguars have the best logo in CONCACAF as far as national teams go.
Oh yeah,
it is sick.
I would agree with that as well. So interesting thing about the history of national team soccer in Belize is the team's history actually predates the nation itself. So when the country was called British Honduras, the team recorded its first ever international match in 1928, beating Honduras. And then there isn't a ton of information. There was a very long dormancy, and it's really after independence in 1981 is when Belize played its first post-independence match, beating Canada on December 8th, 1983, 2-0 in Belize City.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. But then it was in 1999 that Belize really started engaging in regular international competition. Their debut came in the 1995 UNCAF Nations Cup, where they were eliminated in the first round, losing to El Salvador and Costa Rica. And their first international victory as Belize came in 2011 when they beat Nicaragua 2-0. But the biggest moment in Belize national team history for the men came in 2013. Belize finished fourth at the 2013 Copa Centroamericana, and that result got them qualification to the 2013 CONCACAF Gold Cup. And that's their one and only Gold Cup appearance to this day. I'm sure a lot of here remember at least one part of that Gold Cup run because they were placed in a group with the U.S. They got beat 6-1 in their opening match and did not win a single game. When it comes to World Cup qualifying, Belize has entered qualifying every year since 1998, but they've never, of course, qualified for the World Cup. In the current cycle, they went 0-4 in the second round, including a loss to Montserrat and Panama at home. But on the Nations League front, the real tournament that we care about, they've had a little bit more success. They spent some time in League B, but they got relegated back to League C in the 23-24. But in 24-25, they had 4 wins, 0 losses, and got promoted back to League B. So when we restart CONCACAF Nations League, they will be back in League B. And the last thing, just want to shout out, one great, the GOAT of Belize football, Dion McCauley. He had 63 caps, 28 international goals, and was active he retired from national team duty in 2022. And then most cap player, Everall Trapped with 55 caps. And then right now, Carlos Bernadez is the leading goal scorer for the team with 7 goals so far. But that gives you a little bit of insight into the Jaguars and the interesting history there.
Yeah. Before we move on, am I crazy, or is that Gold Cup game against the U.S.? Was that the one where Wondolowski scored a hat trick with having his name spelled wrong on the back?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
With 3 W's.
I knew it. Can't forget that nonsense. Oh, yeah.
Something for that. That's something for the real sickos there.
Yes. Well,
I think he also.
If you're listening to the World of CONCACAF podcast, you are a real sicko. So
I think he scored. He also scored 2 or 3 goals in that Guatemala friendly right before that game. So that was with the 3 on the back, and then he, for good luck, put the third W inside the jersey. They put an extra W like on the back neck, on the inside neck tape, and then he scored the hat trick.
I thought it was like the rest of the tournament he was doing the W on the inside.
Possibly. It's one of the, I know it, that whole, like, the Guatemala game in San Diego at Qualcomm kind of blends together with all that. Yeah. So yeah.
Chris Wondolowski was one of the top scorers of the 2023 Gold Cup. He was tied with Landon Donovan and Gabby Torres.
That's such a good summer. But yes, a lot of fun nonsense about Belize. Speaking of fun nonsense, we're going to take a quick break, and then it is real team or fake team. Be right back. All right, we're back. It is time to get down to business. It has been a long time. Donald has escaped having, to get put in the spotlight here for a long, long time. And now it is time for him to, take a swing. So this is real team.
Warm, but I'm ready.
So this is real team or fake team. And if you're new to the World of CONCACAF podcast, A, welcome. B, where you been. C, this is where we give a bunch of team names to Donald, and he has to guess whether they're real or fake, because this is CONCACAF, and everything sounds made up to begin with. So Jonathan and I each got 3 teams. Donald's got to guess whether they're real or fake. Jonathan, you want to lead us off?
I'll lead us off. Benque Viejo United.
Benque? Spell that.
Benque.
Say a spelling bee.
I mean, that was a different spelling than I thought it was. So Benque United.
Benque Viejo United.
Viejo United. I'm going to go real.
That it is. It is a real team.
Yes.
They're based in Benque Viejo del Carmen. They play. They're one of the teams that plays their games outside of the main stadium.
All right. So 1-for-1. He's warming up. Next up, we got Arsenal FC.
That I'm gonna talk it up for a minute. I because we've seen countries where they have random European teams for no reason whatsoever, and some have reason. Um, this feels like it has all the reason in the world because of the English team or English country. So I'll go real.
Made that up. There's no Arsenal team. I mean, it would make sense.
It would
You
make
laid it
sense.
out. Laid it out.
Mm-hmm.
But nope, no Arsenal in Belize. All right,
No
Jonathan.
Arsenal Belize.
Good for them.
Belize City Ballers.
Belize City Ballers. I'm gonna say that is also fake.
That is a fake team.
Right.
So you are 2 for 3.
Okay. Let's go Verdes FC.
Like greens.
Yep.
I was gonna go real. I'm gonna go real. I was gonna say fake, but I'm saying real. Real locked in. Final answer.
You sure? You sure? You sure?
No, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna go real.
Well, Verdes FC is a real team. They were actually the Belize representative in the 2025 CONCACAF Central American Cup, where they finished last in Group C. And their nickname actually happens to be the Green Machine.
I thought you were gonna say the greens. I was like, that would make sense.
Green Machine. It's cool.
Green Machine makes also makes sense.
All right, last one from me. Belmopan FC.
Just went straight for the generic. Okay. Belmopan definitely has a team. Is it just an FC? Is the question. I'll say that's real.
That is a real team. They are nicknamed the Bandits. They have won the title in the Premier League of Belize 9 times. So they are the most successful team that currently exists in Belize.
All right. Last one. Wagia SC.
Wagia? Can you spell that? Is that W-A? Well, let me spell it. Is it WAGIYAH?
No H.
No H. Okay.
Yeah. You had the first 6 down.
So Wagia, no H. FC?
SC.
SC. Soccer.
Yes.
Oh, that's messed up. This would be some English stupid shit to do. I will. The soccer's throwing me off. I'll go real. We'll end it with a real team. I think you wouldn't give me fake on the last one.
You would think so, but that is a real team. They're founded in 1983. They were runner-up in the Premier League in 2006. So, Donald, not perfect,
5 and 6.
5 out of 6, pretty good.
5 and 6. I'll take it. I've done 0. I've done 6. I don't think I've done 2 yet. So, I think that's the only number left in the number for me to land on.
I did consider going with Progresso. Progresso is a real team just because, Progresso is for that region. There are a lot of, there's cities that are El Progresso.
Mm-hmm.
And, being a Spanish term, there's a lot of possibility there. But that was one that we didn't cut. What was the other one? There's another good one that we didn't. Yeah, unfortunately, there were a lot of good teams that would have really messed you up had they still existed. Going back to the Arsenal, there is a Juventus and there is a Queen's Park Rangers that existed in the past.
Well, QPR wouldn't have messed me up, but Juventus absolutely would. There's no reason for that.
Yeah. And one of the great names that we found that's a classic CONCACAF was Altitude. And unfortunately, they folded recently. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it happens like that. So, great round of real team or fake team. I think we'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to our patrons. Again, patreon.com/podcacaf, where you can follow us, hear the one more round bonus episodes that we do, and support the podcast. $1 here, $5 there. That helps us pay our hosting fees and stuff like that. Really appreciate everyone who supports us. Shout out to our patrons. We love you. Also, follow us on the social medias at PodCACAF, POD on your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. Blue Sky, big Blue Sky guys over here. Donald, where can people find you?
At Blazing DW on Blue Sky or Instagram.
Jonathan?
You can find me at JSleep on Blue Sky.
Okay. Yeah, that works. All right, we'll wrap it up here. We're down under 10 laser focuses that we have left to do. So we're getting there. We're going to get up through CONCACAF. We're going to have you guys along for the ride with us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.